Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Black Blaze Gaming. I'm just gonna move that a little closer. Okay, so here we go. Another video. Video I just felt I had to make. God, all this talk about Saints Row and the reboot and all this shit. I have so many feelings on this that I was like, man, I have to put this into a video because there's just so much shit going on. Now, I don't have any footage of Saints Row anymore, and I don't feel like re-downloading it. So I'm just going to throw some random game footage in the background on this, but I keep getting recommended all these articles about the new Saints Row reboot and how there's a bunch of backlash against it and people are mad and they're rebooting it, and there's this I haven't even seen the trailer. I honestly have not bothered because I don't care. But I just keep seeing these screenshots of this conspicuously diverse cast of characters. Imagine that shit in this day and age. God. And games publications are all back and forth on this game. Whether at first they were like, oh man, they're rebooting the series, it's kind of dumb. But then they're like, oh no, they're going a bold new direction where they're taking themselves more seriously now. And then there's a backlash against the new approach to Saints Row. And then the games publications, because they hate gamers. They actually gaming news outlets genuinely hate gamers for the most part. So as soon as the gaming community has a kind of a majority opinion, they immediately have to write an article bashing that opinion and everybody who has it. Even going so far, in some cases, to quote specific people from Reddit or Twitter and use them as an example of why gamers are terrible people or whatever. Anyway, I needed to talk about this one because to me, this seems kind of similar to what they did with Devil May Cry and God of War, right? They did a reboot of Devil May Cry that was much more serious in tone, very edgy, tried to have some social commentary weaved into it. Granted, that game was extremely poorly written, has some of the worst fucking writing in gaming for a AAA title. It was so embarrassing. And the gameplay wasn't bad by any means, necessarily. There's some bad design decisions, I would say, in the combat, but it wasn't comparable to the previous games in the series. So, of course, it's a huge downgrade, and therefore it feels worse than it is. But compared to a lot of other action games, it still is a decent combat system. It's just not what it should have been. Now that's one side of the coin. That's one way a reboot can happen when they try to, become all gritty and dark and have some social commentary or whatever, some life lessons. And then you have God of War, which was very widely critically praised, even though it looks like shit. So for one thing, the graphics look great. Good for you. You made some really realistic landscapes. It's not really what God of War was to most people, though, so kind of an odd choice. And then you threw out the fun, button mashy kind of combat system and silly, cartoony jumping around and shit that was in the original God of War series, in favor of the story, which was supposed to become this more grown-up father-son tale. It's Last of Us. It's fucking Last of Us. Essentially, it's what it's trying to be, the grizzled dad game. And so the story, while I hear is fantastic, really I have absolutely zero interest in. None whatsoever. It's just it would just be another great, you wrote some fucking story that might be new to video games, but has been done in movies and TV for fucking decades, and I'm pretty tired of seeing, to be honest. I want video games to be video games, honestly. Video games first and stories second. Not that there's anything wrong with a story-driven game, but how are you going to say that you're innovative at all in gaming as a game developer if you're not making a new game? You're just making new stories for games and like forcefully shoving in some gameplay to make it still qualify as a game. Like it's stupid to me. It's the Order 1886 design approach, and I think that's a really bad design approach for a game developer, personally. And on top of that, God of War and I think DMC both committed one of the cardinal sins of any reboot. And it was the same one for both of them, which was that they were outright insulting fans of the series. And they were taking what was the series to that point and spitting on it. Saying, you know, this is immature, this is garbage. This is what you really want, is this snorefest gameplay wise and this, you know, pretentious story. So rather than, you know, taking these stories that they have and making a new IP out of it, they just gotta wring out some value from their long running series by completely sacrificing all the artistic integrity of the original games. Like it's mind blowing that this stuff is done so frequently and also accepted so much by particularly critics, but even the communities too. But the thing is that these developers are trying to appeal to a wider audience. They're trying to appeal to more casual people that don't normally take games seriously or want to be interested in games. They're trying to appeal to that crowd, and they're not trying to appeal to actual, you know, gaming communities. It's sad, honestly, that's the world that we live in, but we have to go to other developers now in order to get games that are actually video games. Now, Saints Row is a bit of a different story in my mind. In the case of Saints Row doesn't really have much of a legacy that it's, you know, tearing down and rebuilding from the ground up. It to me, making this more serious Saints Row game, while I think it's a dumb decision, it's not really insulting to the original franchise, I don't think. I mean, they might make some, you know, ham-fisted jokes in the actual game that make fun of, like, GAT and the people who liked GAT, which I don't know anybody who liked GAT, but whatever. They might do that in the official game, but in and of itself, just rebooting it and making it serious, I don't think it's an insult to the original series, because the original series is nonsense. It's complete nonsense front to back. It never really had an identity other than kind of being a parody of GTA, sort of, until it really became its own thing of just being weird and random. But I will say that the backlash to it, I would say a lot of the backlash to it is probably justified, because if you're making Saints Row, if you're remaking it, you're rebooting it into being this serious franchise, a serious game, then you're throwing out the one thing that actually really made it different from GTA and other sandbox games like that. Because Saints Row had a lot of, you know, tongue-in-cheek humor. It parodied a lot of pop culture, particularly the third game. I think the third game is the best example of a game with its own identity and really decent design aspect from beginning to end. 4 was like a parody of 3 and itself at the same time. It's like, wow, 3 was really ridiculous. Let's see how absolutely batshit insane we can possibly make this game. And then Get Out of Hell came out, and it was really confusing because it was like, is this Saints Row 5 or is this not is this like a spinoff? Like, what is this game? And so I don't think it did very well, and that's probably why they're rebooting it. But at any rate, it's this whole, like, you're making this game serious now. Well, what makes it different from Watch Dogs or Just Cause or GTA? It really just becomes another dime a dozen sandbox game where you run around in a city and shoot people. Except they took out the part where you can beat them with a purple dildo that's 9 feet long. Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe they're not going to take that out. I don't know. Maybe that'll still be in there. But based on what I've seen from this new approach, it's probably not going to be something they have in there. So, while a gaming publication might sit here and want to bash gamers for hating this new direction, you have to understand it's kind of a stupid decision to take this direction with a game like Saints Row. But on the other hand, the gaming community also needs to understand that there's not really a legacy that they have to live up to with Saints Row, because it's really such a confused mess of a series that it doesn't really matter what they do with it next. So I think the extremes on both sides are ridiculous in this case. And so, throwing the game completely under the bus is silly, but also, like, praising the game for taking this new bold approach. It's not a new bold approach. It's been done to a dozen other games. So it's not original. It's not interesting. There's nothing they're doing that's going to make, like, they're sitting here talking about how it's going to take itself more seriously. They've not said anything about what the game is supposed to be like. What innovations are they making to this series? What the fuck is Saints Row going to bring to the sandbox game formula that hasn't been done already? Like, it's just, I don't see any progress here, guys. It's just, you're literally just doing God of War again. Like, who cares? Who the fuck cares? I mean, even Just Cause tried to go this route, and it was fucking stupid. It was so bad. No one liked Just Cause 4. It looks like shit. That's why they gave it away for free on Epic Games. It's a AAA game, and it's crap now. And this is ultimately, I think, the issue, with a lot of this design aspect that people are doing is that they're sacrificing design just so they can write some new story that has nothing to do with anything, is not original, and belongs more in a movie than anything, and does not have a positive impact on gameplay on any level. And it's all because they just want to maintain the marquee value of the name that they've been building up all these years, but at the sake of sacrificing their artistic integrity and what the name actually stood for once. It's just dumb. It's stupid. It's bad design, plain and simple. This is not how you create a series, I don't think. And I mean, this might be a topic for another video, but I do want to touch on another thing about this sort of marquee value shit that I keep seeing. It's like, I played Minecraft Dungeons recently. They had a free-to-play weekend or whatever for Minecraft. Like, it was free for like 6 days or something on Switch. And now, I had been excited when I heard Minecraft Dungeons being announced. I was excited for it. I thought that might be a cool little take on the dungeon crawler format. I mean, I've always liked Diablo. I liked Torchlight 2 quite a bit. Path of Exile. There's some really good games in the dungeon crawler genre. So I was like, man, I'd love to see how they take a Minecraft spin on that. And then I watched Zero Punctuation's review of it. Yahtzee is someone I can generally trust to tell it like it is, and I can get a good idea of what things about the game that he talks about that I will like and what things I won't like, whether he talks shit about them or doesn't, right? It doesn't really matter what his personal opinion is. It's just a matter of how he presents it, and like, okay. So he did his review on Minecraft Dungeons, and he stated the biggest fear I had about that game to be true, which was that it was not a Minecraft dungeon crawler. It was a dungeon crawler that just looked like Minecraft. And that's fucking stupid. So I played the demo, the free-to-play week or whatever, and it sucked, plainly. I mean, it can pass the time for a couple of hours, but not only is it more shallow than any other dungeon crawler I've ever played, even the mobile ones I've played, but it's also got nothing to do with Minecraft. Literally nothing. There's no mining, there's no crafting, there's none of the building elements of Minecraft, none of the creative elements of Minecraft, and it has the most shallow combat and character progression systems I've ever seen in a title like that. Granted, it's only a $20 game, Canadian, so it's not like they're not like gouging you on the price, but I can go buy Torchlight 2 for the same price, or cheaper, because it'll be on sale on Steam. And I can buy it for my friends and then play it with my friends, because it's a multiplayer game and we can do a whole story progression together. So like, why the fuck would I play Minecraft? There's literally no reason. They're just selling it based on the name, and that's dumb. That's bad design, and that's what we're seeing in a ton of modern gaming now. Is they're just trying to find new audiences because they can't find a way to innovate. They can't find a way to keep their game series good. So on the same note, I have to praise the people who've actually been making video games recently, like Capcom. And it's weird to say this because, you know, I just sat here trashing DMC Devil May Cry, the reboot. But DMC 5 is one of the best games made in the past, like, 30 years. It's like the best game since in his genre since Devil May Cry 3. Granted, I love Devil May Cry 4, I really do, but it was unfinished. I can't deny that. The combat system was the best it had ever been up to that point, but it was still an unfinished game. And DMC 5 is the most complete action game package and Devil May Cry package that you could possibly ask for. It is so goddamn good, and it sacrifices none of the gameplay aspect, none of the game design aspect, in order to service some story. But the story's still really good, and I really love the story. It's very much a fan service story in like the best way possible, and it's a great story. DMC5 is the game of the gamer. It's so fucking good. Gaming Brit put that really well. Actually, this is really the gamer's game, and it's true. It's really true. And then another developer that I have to praise for this is id Software, of all people. I mean, I was not a big fan of the old Doom games, and I was like, you know, I understand why people were mad at like Doom 3 and stuff, and why they just really weren't living up to the expectations for a while. But Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are fantastic games. And again, they don't ever sacrifice the gameplay to service the story. They are video games first, and they've added so much story to them that was never really present in Doom. And the stories are good, but it doesn't have to fucking cripple the gameplay to make it work. It's still a video game, and it's still fun to just jump around in your game and fuck around and blow things up in unrealistic ways and beat the shit out of demons with your bare hands, and then go into a cutscene that's somewhat serious. Like, I'm totally okay with this. I love that every character in Doom is basically super serious, takes the world very seriously. But Doom Guy's just like, I don't care. I'm here to kill demons. It's what I do. Like, I don't give a fuck what your stupid backstory is. I love that. I think it's fun because Doom Guy, you know, I haven't finished Doom Eternal yet, but I've finished Doom 2016, 100%ed it, and I was like, yeah, like Doom Guy doesn't talk, but he has a personality, and it comes through in his actions and your actions as the player, and so there's no like real choice. There's no role playing. It's not a role playing game, but Doom Guy still has a character. He's still like, he has his own goals, and you're just along for the ride. Really, you're helping him get to those goals. It's not like you're creating your own goals like in an RPG. And I think that's really bold storytelling. I think that's something that gaming needs so much more of, is to have player characters that are they already have a personality that they've designed, and it's regardless of the player's input. Honestly, I think that's good storytelling for video games. So yeah, kudos to id Software and to Capcom for making video games in an era where no one seems to want to, where most AAA developers are making movies with interactive elements. Kudos to you guys. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Will Saints Row reboot be good? I don't know. I feel like they're gonna try to shove a bunch of social commentary in there that doesn't really fit and will be out of touch as fuck. But we'll see when it comes out, I guess. And I mean, I probably won't play it. I'll probably watch someone else play it, because I honestly have stopped caring about Saints Row since Saints Row 4, when I got like 10 hours into the game and then it stopped working and would not run, and I couldn't fix it, so I just stopped playing it because I wasn't even enjoying it anyways. It was like mediocre at best. So I don't really care about Saints Row. You guys do you. And in the meantime, I'll be in the corner playing Metroid Dread when it comes out. Thank you very much. Alright, see y'all in the next video. Bye!
Woo.